Is 2018 a good year to get into private label?
When you run out of inventory and close listing, does your BSR remain when you relist, or does the ranking drop the longer
this is
you
good to ask from you.
close a listing?
Yeah, because like I've always thought that it was just best to close it personally, but that's just, I have not seen data behind it to prove it.
Also,
it's just kind of anecdotal from my experience.
What about increasing the price before closing it?
Yeah, so this actually is something that we did do a little bit of study on from some of the data that we had. First of all, bestsellers rank is very heavily or wholly dependent on your sales velocity. So your bestseller rank is going to increase as soon as you're out of stock, and it's going to keep climbing. That being said, bestsellers rank is definitely not the only factor, and might not even be a factor at all in your search engine ranking positions, okay? So that's something important to understand and to differentiate between. So just because you have a higher bestsellers rank doesn't mean you rank worse for a keyword in the search engine. Those things are correlated because we all know that sales velocity is a heavy factor that goes into your search engine ranking positions. Something to add to that, so when we did the case study, what I was trying to figure out is it better to just keep the same price so you keep the same conversion rate and run out of stock? Or is it better to raise your price to not run out of stock?
Yeah.
So what we found was it is definitely easier to get ranking well again when you get back in stock if you don't raise your price and don't negatively affect your conversion rate. So we were able to prove that. That being said, you guys probably mostly care about profit, and that gets a lot more complicated because it more so comes down to like, well, how much can you raise your price? Like, can you triple your profit? If so, it might be worth slow sales the first week or two when you get back in stock, that extra money. So it really all comes in down to how much extra profit you're able to make by raising your price. All that being said, for me on my products, I don't raise my price, I just run out of stock.
Okay, nice. But also I'd say there's one other factor to take into account, and that might be how long you're going to be out of stock. Because if like it's only going to be a day or two, maybe it's a good time to A/B test. Does higher prices increase your conversion, or like does it decrease your conversion that much, and could you maintain it? Because like I always like to test price, and a lot of people are afraid, and so this could be a good time to do some testing if you're gonna be losing ranking anyways. At least that's my kind of thought. Because what if you raise the price? Like, there's been experiences where people have raised the price and they sell more. I've had that happen before.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, you got to choose it on your own. So, but that's cool to hear.
I saw another good question about sourcing agents and what do we think about them. I think it's a good question. So I personally prefer not to use sourcing agents. That being said, if you're having a hard time finding a product, or that's just what makes it that much easier for you to like sell on Amazon, or that's the biggest hurdle for you, then I wouldn't be totally against using them. It is going to be a little bit more expensive, and communication is typically slower when making changes with the factories because you're going through a middleman. But so I prefer not to use them. But again, like if that's your main hurdle, then I would say like just use them and just pay like the extra few percent.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, but so with sourcing agents, my opinion, what you could do is you might get like the American or the foreigner tax if you don't know how to communicate effectively with them. So what you could do is come in with your well-crafted, I explain in videos exactly how to strategically get, like you gotta have tiered pricing, show that you're very professional, you want a long-term relationship and everything, and find out what your best price is, do it on 1688, like this is assuming you have the factory that you know that you want to go to. Then what you're gonna do is go and take that information then and have some other sourcing agents go in there and then with the same requirements and see what their price is compared to yours. You don't have to use them, but you'll see, do they get a better price than you do? And if they get a better price, you can either use them or
Use that for leverage.
And then if you get multiple sourcing agents, you can then now see who's taking the biggest cut and who's the biggest negotiator. And this is the way you get to the true best price for the manufacturer. like kind of like a mathematical like A/B test, different way.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. But
Yeah, just know also like the sourcing agents, they'll say like, oh, we only mark this up like 2% or whatever. That's pretty much all BS. Like,
everybody's taking a cut.
Yeah. There's lots of like, it's very common, like just like in the Chinese business culture to have like lots of kickbacks and like other things. So don't assume that's always just like the best price with 2% tacked on. You got to do your work and check different prices.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's very good point as well. Let's see, what else do we have here, guys? What is up, Deanne Dantis? What's up? How do you see FBA in 10 years? Ooh, let's cover with you.
Good question. All right, so a little bit of a loaded question here. This is, I'm glad you asked this though, because I'm actually optimistic about the future of Amazon. I'm confident it's going to be a good opportunity for at least 5 more years. 10 years is a long time away in internet ages. So I will not try to claim to anyone that I can like see 10 years into the future. With that being said, I think one important thing to understand is that like if you want to go into this business and become like an entrepreneur, just know that you're going to have to constantly be like learning new things, changing kind of like with the times, and people are always going to be buying physical products, right? I mean, I don't see that ending anytime soon. So whether or not they do that on Amazon or some other channel, 10 years from now, I'm not quite sure. But as of right now, there's no one even close to catching up with Amazon, at least in America.
So can I ask a more specific question? When it comes to like the reviews thing, there's a lot changing with Amazon now. So they're obviously trying to make it better and remove all the fake stuff. How do you see it? How do you see them changing it even more, fixing it?
Yeah, so Amazon is very much focused on what's the best experience for their customer and like what just causes their customer like the most trust in them. So like all the decisions that they make are going to be weighted towards that and not necessarily like what's best for Amazon sellers. So like, as Amazon sellers, we have to accept that, but also know that we want to also have a good experience for Amazon buyers, right? Because that's what keeps coming back and like what keeps Amazon growing. So I think we can see like more of them like cracking down on any type of like manipulation or anything that like deceives the customers.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the framework that I think of from that specifically. That essentially Amazon, literally everything they always like you can return and totally scam the sellers and everything, and that's always because they would rather us take the hit as sellers. And like they know that they have the competitive advantage there, and that as long as they have the customers, then the sellers will be there. But if they lose that trust of the customers and the happiness, then somebody could take them over, and then eventually, once the customers are there, they slowly build it better for everybody. But like they're gonna lose equity if they ever go wrong with a customer in favor of a seller. So why would they just, game theory, why would they ever take that chance? Because their platform is built on, like, where are you gonna go elsewise? So they're always gonna go to the customer. Where do I see FBA in 10 years? I would say I see it as, I don't know, but like you said, with 5 years, like there's the whole world. Like Amazon's only here. What happens when there's e-commerce everywhere? Like, do you know how they do it in South America and Bali? Cash on delivery. Like, literally you buy something online and then it goes in UPS and you pay that guy cash and there's like no options. So it'll eventually eat there's 186 countries. It's gonna take over many more. It's just getting started. Like, just think about it like that framework, and maybe the US in 5 years will be a lot harder, but every country has different formalities, different consumer tastes, different people, like all of that. So that, just you got to change and grow, just like you were saying. What's the best tool to calculate sales volume? Is Jungle Scout accurate? I'm trying to figure out how much to order for Xmas. Ooh, we just went 40 minutes in depth on this with a video. We could try to summarize that. What's your 20-second summary?
20-second summary is we just finished a case study on this last week. Jungle Scout did prove to be the most accurate, and of course you guys would probably are thinking like, well, of course Greg's gonna say that because it's because he has Jungle Scout, but we're releasing like all of the data and the raw information so you can kind of prove that for yourself. But you kind of asked something else here. I'm trying to figure out how much to order for Xmas, and like the Jungle Scout sales estimates are going to give you like the previous 30 days, kind of like by default. If you dig into the item more, you can see like the historical monthly sales for that item, and that's going to help a lot with determining seasonality during Q4 and how much more to order. If you don't have the tool, Google Trends is also like a pretty helpful indicator for this. So yeah, there's some like kind of tools you can use to help you understand seasonality.
Yeah, so like let's say that there's like a kind of a ramp up and then eventually it peaks at 4 times X. So if you're like 2 months out and it's doing 1.5 of that, then you would, well, it's probably too late. You're 2 months out. Do it before then. And you just kind of like look at how much the trend volume does per month as it ramps up, and then do that multiply, and then go back to your supply chain. I'll cover that really in depth with the video. I have that. So you just gotta look at Google Trends and then realize that how the tools, whatever tool you're using, that if it's giving it, like Jungle Scout does the last 30 days, and you have to realize where you're at in the cycle and then correct with math. So, I don't know, there's not really an easier way to say that. If a competitor is using my images on a completely different ASIN, should I report to make them remove my images, or should I buy their product and report counterfeit? Reporting a counterfeit's not going to help you because they're just taking your images. This is copyright, not trademark. Okay, so it's not counterfeit. They're not putting your mark. So you would need to technically, to do it legally, you'll need to register your images in the copyright database, and then once that's done, or you could just use your website and do it really in depth, showing that like, you know, with the right like legal words there, and then try to make a copyright claim to Amazon. But I've never actually done a copyright claim, but it's a pain. I don't know, maybe just, do you have any tips?
I would actually start by messaging the seller and use some like pretty aggressive wording about like cease and desist, and if they don't remove the images, you're going to take them to court and report them to Amazon, get them banned, and those types of things. That's usually actually pretty effective. You can just like Google search like cease and desist and like take some verbiage out of that to send to them. Yeah, I've actually never, I don't think I've ever had to report like a copyright claim to Amazon before, but I imagine you could, I think the email is ip@amazon.com. You could report them and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to before, but I just was like, whatever. I mean, I'm on Amazon, like pictures of me of my product. I'm on Alibaba. I'm on everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
People just,
no chance getting off Alibaba.
Yeah, if you're on Alibaba, it's gonna happen, okay? And that it just happens everywhere. Like you've probably stolen images from people before too. I mean, if it's every single image one for one, okay, that's like a different story. And okay, then maybe do something. But if they just took one, like, I mean, put some time and effort into it. But yeah, I don't know. Never really had success with it. The cease and desist will like do what you can.
I think messaging to the seller, you're gonna find that's effective like 80 or 90% of the time.
Okay.
So start with that. That's the easy one.
Yeah, I just had so many. I was like, I can't do this. They're uploading every day. Is 2018 a good year to get into private label?
Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Same thing goes for private label. Still a good opportunity, and yeah, it's always like the best. I mean, there's no reason to wait. Like 2019 is not going to be better. Like it's better to get into it now than it is next year or the year after that. It's a great opportunity.
This is the biggest change in commerce history of the entire planet, the human race. It's all switching to online fulfillment, a decentralized, no barriers to entry. That's, yeah, like, was it better a little bit ago? Yeah, but you asked private label. I don't like private label. Private label is just putting a sticker on something. Like, it's a good time to make physical, the best time in the world to sell physical products on the internet. You gotta do something a little bit different. Like, if you're just expecting to take something and put a label on it and get rich, that's maybe not the best time, but those days were years ago. But if you follow methodology of doing things a bit different, marketing differently, serving different markets, and yes, I believe it's a good time for that. Let's see. I'm designing my first product and it's unique. What tools should I use to promote it? What would you use?
I imagine when you say promoted, I'm guessing you mean to like launch it. You think that's what it means?
Yeah, I think he means launch it. Unless you mean like promote for social media, then we'll just cover launch.
So as far as like the launch goes, one thing that you just have to understand is in order to start ranking well on Amazon, you need to get sales and sales velocity, okay? So you just have to think about what can you do to get sales when your listing is lost on like the last page of Amazon. What the answer is to most of these questions is Amazon PPC. You can do coupon through coupon giveaway sites. We have one called JumpSend, which of course that's one I'm gonna prefer. But also if you have like an email list, you can email your email list. Or anywhere else that you can think of to like giveaway coupons. But yeah, you're not going to naturally rank really well for your product. Like in the SERPs, you have to, in the early days, like when you launch it, you have to do one of those methods to get sales.
What's a SERPs? Search engine result page?
Yeah.
For the people who don't know what SERPs are off the top of their head. Okay, yeah, I would say like PPC. If you have any lists, messenger, just PPC. PPC like is so powerful. It's people that are looking to buy products on Amazon, and that's the only way you get data on what converts. And you can use launch serve. Like if you're going to something really, if it's unique and you're not sure what it is, maybe don't launch until you know what you need to like. If it's very unique and you've done a lot, you don't know necessarily which words it's gonna fit for. So maybe do a little bit of PPC and find out where it converts and then launch. What do you think about that? Like, because it matters like how unique it is.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, unless you know it's like what it is and it's unique, then it also depends on how competitive it is. It's gonna take a really long time to launch with PPC, and if you didn't do much differentiation, then it's launch will definitely be beneficial to helping the success of that. So it's a big art. I have a UK trademark. Can I use it in the USA? Yes, you can to get brand registry, but it won't give you a protection to like get people removed, but you'll get the features of brand registry.
You can't do vice versa though, right? I think that's correct. UK works in the US, US doesn't work in the EU.
Yeah, I haven't done verse like that. I'm not aware of that.
I think that's true.
But okay, yep, sounds great. Is a VA worth it? Yes, but only if they're doing something that's worth it, like something that like actually adds to your business. And they know what they're doing, and they're not making more. You're not making more work by using them. So yes. But even if they don't do it, it could be a good process because you now learned what is not valuable for someone to do. Do you think VAs are worth it, or?
I think hiring a team is like. I think that's like probably the bigger question. Like, is it important for me to hire a team? And the answer to that is like absolutely. Like once you're ready to like scale up, or you. There's tasks that you really don't like doing, you feel like it's easy to teach someone else how to do these tasks, that's like a fantastic time to hire someone to do that, whether or not it's a VA in like one of these low-cost countries or someone locally or whatever else. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I'm hiring lots of people. I know we do a combo of VAs and I mainly am people that are English in the United States. I like to hire people who are gonna solve problems for me and not just create them or like do tasks. I want people that can solve problems for themselves. And there's people all around the world like that too. So how important is custom branded packaging? Can you brand the product physically and be good?
Thing like, can you only put it on your, so yes, you could only put your brand name on the product itself and not on the packaging as well. I would recommend just doing both though. It's gonna be like the hardest for calendar fitters or for people who are just like trying to sell your listing even though it's not unique if it's both on your packaging and on your product.
Make it all good. Last question. Vadim El-Kab says, thanks guys, but let me get the text here so I can read it. I'm using Keepa to check competitors' BSR over the month from November, December, then using JS Estimator to check sales volume, but it's inflated, is what he says.
Okay, so something to understand here is the same bestseller rank in November or December is not going to sell the same amount as that same bestseller rank in a different month, okay? So the models that are used in like the estimators right now, they'd be relevant for like this period of time. not necessarily like a year ago or a year in the future or a quarter into the future or whatever else. If you want to do that more accurately, we do, like, if you have the Jungle Scout extension, if you like click on the sales number inside of the extension, it shows you a graph of the unit sales on a monthly basis historically for as long as we've been tracking it, and that would use the correct models for that time frame. So the way you're doing it, yeah, because like it might have the same sales rank, you know, like 100 today and 100 in November, whatever, but like in the toys category, that's going to sell like 5 times as much in November as like what it's selling today. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
You have to adjust it seasonally. I see where you are in that wherever, and then wherever you are currently on this day, the last 30 days is that's Jungle Scout's estimate, and then you have to then apply it to wherever that seasonality is, or if it's just flat. And then there's also Q4 seasonality. Yep, I'll cover that more in depth for you guys in videos. Cool. We're gonna end it there. I'm gonna save this, but thanks you guys for. See you. Bye, Sammer.